Episode 49.
What's your heritage? Hello and welcome to the Pink Hair Girl podcast. My name is Sally Jane and I'm joined again today by Rachel. I will put up our various social media names
at the bottom.
Yeah, because both of us are Instagram. I like to have one name actually, but both of us, our Instagram names are different because those names were already taken, which is a bit. Anyway, right. So let's jump straight into what we're doing this week. I want to talk about heritage. Which is a rather strange
What's
thing.
that?
Yeah, it is a bit odd because it's something that you think you know the meaning of until you really think about what it might mean, and then you have to actually Google it to find out exactly what the meaning is. Now I'll tell you why I'm thinking about heritage.
Isn't heritage getting things passed down from ancient people in your family?
Sort of, yes, it is a lot. So I got a really nice I don't know, I suppose you call them sort of bloggers drop-off boxes or
blogger presents.
Yeah, blogger presents, I guess. So it came all wrapped up, and this was the let me just lift up. So I got this really cool little crafting suitcasey thing, and on the handle it had my name. And I must admit, if I get try to make that straight. If I get blogger drop off and they personalize, I am just so impressed. So that wasn't the only part of it being personalized. On top was a letter, and so again it says Dear Sally Jane. So you think, okay, they filled in everybody's names and printed name cards, but the rest of the letter is probably going to be very generic. No, it says, from beautiful ribbons and twine, buttons and wool, we've put together something special just for you. As the legendary rockers Aerosmith drawled, pink is my favorite color. And because of you, it is one of ours too. Your dazzling fluorescent hair and passion for crafts and knits is so inspiring. So they totally stalked me. They totally went to go and look who I am and what I'm about. And then it says, this crafty package is for you to continue making beautiful arts and crafts so you can hold on to memories for a lifetime to come. And then the rest of it is the generic information. CNA, which is the Central News Agency in South Africa. It's like the stationery shop almost. They do magazines, books, stationery, some toys. I'm just trying to think what the equivalent was in England. And I know there was one, and it's completely, I think W.H. Smith springs to mind, but I think they mostly did books. You won't remember, you were too young.
What about Marks and Spencer's?
No, but that's like Woolworths.
I know.
Yeah. It's really funny. Those in England, you had a Woolworths, and then your Woolworths was completely different to our Woolworths. Our Woolworths is essentially Marks and Spencer's. During apartheid, it's got the same kind of clothing. It's even got a lot of the same kinds of products. It's modeled on exactly the same sort of thing.
And what was
but they couldn't use the name Marks and Spencer's. Although even you'll see sometimes in the chocolate aisles and things, the chocolates labeled Marks and Spencer's and all sorts of things. So ours is called Woolworths, and it's so funny because it's completely different from the company that went under in England called Woolworths. Anyway, so no, it's not Woolworths. So our Woolworths is equivalent to Marks and Spencer's.
Woolworths there?
Marks and Spencer's.
No, but what
was Woolworths? We didn't really a bit like the Crazy Store actually. Like it had bits and bobs of everything, inexpensive. Like if you didn't really know, you might find it, a bit like the Crazy Store, yeah. Anyway, so CNA is the Central News Agency, are running a competition called Made by Me, in line with our Creative Crafts campaign, and we want to know what makes you you. What does the city you live in, the food you eat, etc. say about you? We would love for you to inspire others to create a heritage-inspired craft. And then you put the hashtag CNA Made by Me and post your pictures on Instagram. And the competition runs from the 17th of August to the 27th of September. And I presume you're going to have to go and read CNA's rules, that would be a South African only thing. Because last time the prizes were gift vouchers for CNA. So 17th of September to the 27th, 17th of August to the 27th of September. And the hashtag up there, I don't know if that's coming out there. Can you see that hashtag? It doesn't look like it's focusing on that.
Just read it.
Anyway, the hashtag is the CNA Made by Me. And you have to do a heritage-inspired craft. So that got me thinking about what is heritage and what's, like...
It can mean a couple.
It can mean it. So what do we take it to mean? So anyway, let me show you what I got in my box.
It sort of rocked around a bit.
Yeah, but I got clay, which I'm going to let the children use this. This is modeling dough. I think it's a bit like Play-Doh. I haven't opened it up yet. So I've got some modeling dough.
It might be a bit like
I don't think it's like that more plastic one because it says it contains gluten and salt. Flour and salt is salt dough with gluten, which I'm sure is Play-Doh. Play-Doh is salt.
Well, I can't eat it.
Well, no, I wouldn't recommend anybody eats Play-Doh with the amount of salt in it. And I got yarn, some grey yarn,
What are you going to make?
Ribbons.
What are you going to make with the yarn?
I don't know. Let me show you everything first, and I'll tell you what my idea was. And all those are kind of bows and more ribbons. The bows and the ribbons and the paper
were
all match in the kind of, there's a bluey green and a what's this, a beigey brown, sandy brown color, and the ribbons and the bows are in the same sort of color. So I suppose that's a kind of a paper crafty sort of thing. And then there was twine, and then this one has buttons and beads, and this one has more buttons. I don't know how. That's all right. Like, can you see in there like this? This is like buttons forever. There are so many buttons in here. So we need to do something with buttons because there are like so many buttons that it seems. Anyway, so that was in our heritage, in our box from CNA to do our heritage-inspired craft.
What are we going to do? Are we going to do something?
Sure. Well, of course we're going to do something awesome. What kind of a silly question is that? Right, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to actually read what heritage is. So I got it up. I did ask Google already. So on Wikipedia, you're right. There are different heritage may refer to different things. You can get the natural heritage, which is the fauna and flora, geography, landscape, all of those things like Table Mountain and the Fynbos here and Proteas, and all of that is part of the heritage. Then you get a cultural heritage, which is a physical artifact, intangible attributes of a group or society, and man-made heritage, food, industrial heritage, virtual heritage, inheritance, your actual family inheritance, like you could inherit paintings and those sort of things. Your birthrights, some people, like the Prince of England is born the Prince of England because of a birthright. So there are birthrights in which you're born, and kinship relate, and they said even surname. Some people with the same surname will have a sort of a heritage or whatever. So my surname is Cameron. So with that, I am Scottish on both sides of my family. 4th generation on the one side and 3rd generation on the other side. My gran is Scottish, born in Glasgow and came out to South Africa after the war. And my dad's family was 1 generation earlier than that. And then there was another interesting article on heritage. And this one was, I thought there was an author's name here. I can't see. No. It's on the Amass Center for Heritage Society. What is heritage? It's a full range of our inherited traditions, monuments, objects, and culture. So it's a range of activities and meanings and behaviors and how we draw from those. It includes, but is more than just preserving and excavating and displaying and restoring of old things. It's tangible and intangible. Ideas, songs, poems, television, things that we watched, recipes, language, dance, all of these things are part of how we identify ourselves. So I'm very interested to hear is what is your heritage and what are the things that you identify that make you who you are? It's quite an interesting thought, actually. And I suppose heritage is more than just your your race and culture and all of that. It's all the things that you grew up with that make you at a particular time. Because although I am essentially white South African, there are a lot of things that would make me different from, for example, my husband, who is an Afrikaans white South African. So he has a very different heritage to me. And having Scottish family on both sides has added something to my heritage that is slightly different. So there are very interesting parts to it. I mean, just being white South African poses all sorts of things that come along with that, both good and bad, things that you want to talk about and things that you maybe not. I mean, I'll always talk about anything. And I'm very open if people want to ask me questions. Please feel very free to ask questions. We live in a very interesting country that's had a very interesting history, and I am always very willing to talk about it. I have written many articles, well, not many, but I have written articles on my blog about growing up as a white South African. And I will link to those if people are interested. I was a child during apartheid. I grew up actually in one of the homelands. So South Africa was divided up, and there were areas with the apartheid. Apartheid means separate, basically. And so there were these sort of land acts and separate acts and stuff, and there were what were called homelands, which was where black people were allowed to live, sort of thing, and then they could come in to work in certain areas, and they had to have pass cards, and it was a particularly grim system, a very horrible system, But I grew up in a way completely oblivious to this, because we were in this rural hospital in the homeland. So essentially, I grew up surrounded by such a multicultural groups of people, because there were lots of doctors came from a lot of different places. I remember there was an Indian doctor there, and she always wore her saris, and there was a family from Switzerland there, and there was my dad who was a doctor, and the people next door to us that had a son and then 3 girls with a similar age to me and my sisters, and all sorts of people, in the area. And I don't speak anymore, but I grew up, learning Northern Sotho at the same time. And each of my sisters and I all have African names as well. The nurses at the hospital gave us African names. And I remember going to, there were there's lots of singing and dancing and cultural events that happen in areas like this, and just being involved and immersed in all of that. My mother ran a little nursery school and a sewing club and all of these kind of things that I didn't know what was going on in the rest of South Africa, because obviously we grew up where everybody was all integrated. And then when it came time for my sisters and I to go to school, so this was my early life up until about 6. When it came time for my sisters and I to go to school, the options were that either we went to boarding school, there was a small local primary school, or that we went to boarding school. And my parents were not particularly keen on the idea of sending their children off to boarding school. And so the decision was made to move to Pretoria to get settled and for our education, really. And that was the first time that I came into contact with what the rest of South Africa was like at that point. I lived in a township, or on the hospital on the edge of a rural township, and we didn't lock our cars, and we didn't we just closed the front door and all the rest. And we came to the city, and there were burglar bars. I don't even know if people overseas have ever seen burglar bars or know what burglar bars are like. Yeah, they're kind of like bars across every window that opens in your house. I remember at the hospital we had mosquito mesh against the windows, but not burglar bars. And so I wanted to know from my mother why we were going to live in a jail, why we were going to live in a prison, because there were bars on the window, and this was so very foreign to me. I mean, I am a product of where I was born. I mean, that is, you can't get away from that. You can get burdened by guilt, or by feeling like you should have done things differently, or you should have known differently, or all sorts of things. But essentially we are all just a random product of where we were born. I mean, I could have been born anywhere else and I would have been somebody different. I had no part in where I was born and who I am, but I own the fact that I am a privileged person worldwide. I mean, the global statistics on poverty, there are a lot of very, very poor people that live on a lot less than I do. I am extremely privileged. And I don't think I have to feel guilty for that. I think I need to be aware of the responsibility that comes along with that. And I have written, articles, as I said on my blog that I'll link to, where I have said, what is my responsibility as a privileged white South African? Because a lot of that privilege came on the back of, or the country, or the way we grew up was on not such a nice way that our country was being run. Yeah, and we do have a responsibility for that. And so then from then on, my parents are very liberal. I mean, and just really believe in doing the right thing and in helping other people. And I think my parents are truly altruistic. I don't think there are very many altruistic people in the world, but I think my parents truly are altruistic. But even in, we've always helped people. I just always remember if anybody came to the door and were hungry, we always made sandwiches. We always helped people out. My parents have done charity work and got involved with not just giving out, though, actually helping skills development, sewing clubs, I just always remember my parents helping. And I mean, looking back now, I realize things my parents did that were probably not even, they weren't even allowed to do. I mean, people, like, we would have visitors come and stay at our house. There was a doctor friend of my dad's that went up into, I mustn't get this wrong, I think it was Zimbabwe. And my dad gave him his car. It was a bit of a beat up car and he was going to get a new car. And he could have sold it for some money, but he just gave it to his friend that was going to Zimbabwe. And I mean, this was a black guy and his family that had stayed in our house, and I knew them well, and his wife was a nurse. And looking back, that was probably like really illegal. You weren't allowed to mix like that. You weren't allowed to have someone of another color or race in your house. And I don't know. I know, it is crazy. I don't ever remember it. I didn't know that at the time. You're so sheltered from things as a child. It's difficult to look back and remember exactly what did I know and what didn't I know. Our history was so skewed. What we were fed in the news and the media was very different from what was being shown overseas. I mean, I've been to the Apartheid Museum afterwards and felt almost physically ill and shocked at how little we were aware of exactly what was going on. I mean, we knew it was wrong. We knew all of these kind of things, but you also, to a certain extent, just getting on with being a family, living where you are, middle-class family, going to school, going to the shop, going to wherever. I don't remember my parents, although they helped a lot. My parents are not political in any way, so they didn't go to rallies. We didn't protest. So did we do enough? I don't know. All I can do now is to be aware of where I came from and to do better and do differently and teach my children that we have to do and be better than that. So that's only parts of my heritage. I mean, obviously a big part of it and parts that people don't like to talk about, but hey, you're being a bit silly. Go on. Sorry, we dealt with the slight Titus interruption. What was I saying?
You were saying about heritage.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm more than that. I'm a product also of having quite a close ties to British and Scottish culture. South Africa had a lot of British television. So things like growing up as a child, I remember the Wombles and Paddington Bear and all of these sorts of programs.
Was there Charlie and Lola?
No, there wasn't Charlie and Lola there. But also, I mean, there are things that other South Africans will remember. All the Afrikaans television programs we used to watch, Liewe Heksie, and you used to wake up in the morning and there was a cartoon. There was the morning television show, and I can't remember what it was called, Morning Live, whatever it was in the beginning, I don't know. And there used to be the news and the weather, and there used to be, what was that thing, that dude that used to do the exercise thing? Beat something. And it used to be like this guy in these really short shorts and in this gym clothes and a sweatband. We used to do like a a 5-minute exercise.
Did it ever
Um,
help?
the woman went these leotards and leg warmers, and we're doing in the background. We'll be going along with this aerobics class in the morning. It was very funny. And there was a little cartoon, so you would try to time between having your breakfast and getting your clothes on in the morning. To make sure that you could go and watch the cartoon, and it was often in Afrikaans. And I think is it Cutvis and High or something like that. There was a shark and a little fish, and they were always getting into heaps of trouble. He was trying to chase the thing. I don't know. I just remember this cartoon.
Like Tom and Jerry.
A bit like Tom and Jerry.
And the other one with the shark.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they
were just very, very like a minute, short cartoons. I mean, part of our heritage in South Africa is obviously having a braai, a barbecue, braai day, and all of these sorts of things is huge in South Africa.
Everyone has a braai.
Yeah, we have a very outdoors culture. So although my parents didn't braai very much, I think my dad maybe braaied or barbecued, but I can count the number of times on one hand. It is a very South African thing to braai. And, when you have parties or as you get older and as teenagers and stuff and you go to people's house, people go for a braai, or you invite people around for a braai. It's a very South African.
You don't really have sometimes you have a dinner, but sometimes you have a braai.
Most times you have a braai.
I'm having a braai from the birth.
Yeah. So, and then there are food things that are very culturally South African. Milk tart and peppermint crisp tart and Zulu biscuits and
I didn't know they were like
South African, yeah. Boerewors, which is the South African sausage that we put on a braai.
That is. I called them rooibos.
You did call them rooibos. You couldn't say boerewors. I can't even say boerewors properly. Boerewors. Oh,
Pap is still telling us.
Yeah. I roll the R's in the wrong place, or I don't know what to do. So that's part of our heritage as well. Our animals, our sort of big five, part of living in Africa with our African animals. Somebody asked me once if you could catch a bus to South Africa when I was living in Switzerland. They asked if you could catch a bus to South Africa. And my favorite one is somebody asked me in what part of Africa South Africa was.
In the southern?
Yeah, so I was a bit rude. So I said way up north. I was just wondering if like the South Africa bit didn't kind of give it away. But I was a bit rude anyway. So that's also things about heritage.
Bottom.
Well, yeah, Anyway, I mean, I mustn't be rude because I don't know much about American geography. And I wouldn't be able to tell you where all the different states were in America, but I did think the name, South Africa does really kind of give it away.
South America and North America.
Sure,
I don't even. I actually thought that New York was in South America and that it was like one continent and everything, and it was all just called America. And it was everything like the North America.
Even in South America. You just thought the whole North and South America was all one place.
Yes, and I thought Mexico was way up at the top.
Obviously been failing you in geography lessons.
Now I know Mexico is sort of in the middle.
No, Mexico is
but
gosh, now I'm going to prove myself very wrong. Mexico is attached to America and is in the North America.
I know, but it's sort of
the bottom part of North America.
When it starts getting skinny.
Yeah, the bottom part of North America. So there's North America there, and as you're right, where it goes skinny. So yeah, I think actually you're right. I probably thought that Mexico was in South America for a long time when I was growing up as well.
And I thought Brazil was in Europe.
You're thinking of Portugal. And Portugal and Brazil are quite similar, I think, and Spain, all of these, because of the times when there were colonies and people were conquesting all over the place and taking over places. So, I mean, they speak Portuguese in Brazil. So there's big links between Portugal and Brazil. So it is kind of easy to get the cultures confused. So yeah, your heritage is a lot about where you were born, what you grew up with, your nursery rhymes, songs, landmarks, fauna, flora, food, and even people within the same country will have a different feeling of heritage and culture and things like that. So I'm interested to hear how you identify yourself and your heritage and culture. And so that's going to bring us back to this actual craft. So I need to make something. I thought to probably make something out of the grey yarn, like a shark or a rhino or an elephant or something like that. I thought to use one of the Mama for Earth patterns. I'm going to see if I can bring up her. Mama for Earth is a South African designer that makes sort of Waldorf inspired toys, easy to knit.
I've got one of them. Do you want me to go fetch it?
You can if you like. And so she has got a new shark pattern that's out, and there's a rhinoceros and an elephant as well. So I thought that might be quite a nice thing to do with the grey yarn, because it's both it's African animals but there's so many buttons. I feel like I should be doing something with those buttons. Maybe I should decorate our rhino or elephant in buttons, like cover the body in bright buttons or something. I don't know. There's like so many buttons. Or maybe like put bows on them or something. I don't know. Here's the Mama for Earth. She's got these little animal patterns. Don't know how well that's focusing. Anyway, so there's zebras and dolphins and rhinos and elephants. I've made the elephant before for Titus. I made a blue one. Maybe this time I will make a grey elephant. He's quite sweet. There's a lion as well. I suppose that's quite culturally appropriate for Africa. Yeah, there we go. There's the little elephant. So yeah, I made you that. I may make one of those. But yeah, come and tell us about how you identify yourself, how you see your heritage. What are things that you remember from your childhood that make you? Because I mean, growing up, these are the ones. So this is the little elephant in blue. There, and these are just the farm animals. There's her pig. So these are all by Mama for Earth, who's Linda, and a little cow. I made a whole farm. Oh, there's the camel. His legs. I didn't stuff him quite. He's a bit soft in his stuffing. He should be stuffed a little more. It's a little camel.
A sheep.
Cow. Sheep. I made a lot of farm animals. And there was the cat I made you.
And my cat.
There was another farm animal. There was a pig, a cow, a sheep.
Me.
I think there was a chicken or something else.
Yes, you did.
And then there was an elephant and a camel, which are the more sort of. And I made a lion toy for my nephew, I think, and the cat. So I made a few of hers before. I made Granny a cat.
And you made, did she have the unicorn pattern?
Yes, I made a unicorn for a friend's little girl. So yeah, that was what I thought I would do with that. Right, now let's move along, because we have now taken up a lot of time.
I think for about
We've been babbling for ages.
Hour.
But we're a South African podcast, and I think sometimes it might be interesting for people to hear about South Africa.
They know we're knitting podcast because we've both been knitting.
We have been knitting, so that counts as a knitting podcast, right?
And people that have watched the podcast before knows it's a knitting podcast, and new people,
it just means it's going to go on a little bit longer. That was the only thing I was a bit worried about.
We did an extra short episode, and now it's going to be
we did an extra short one, and now it's an extra long one. What did we do? For those of you that haven't seen, our little extra short episode was our special on the Phoenix hat, which has been released. And I'm not going to go into all those details because
you can just go watch
go and watch that, and I'm not going to repeat everything.
Go watch it. Pause the video, go watch that, and then you can come back.
It's just about our charity hat that raises money for Rachel's project that she's doing. So that's that. Go and watch that if you'd like to. And so that's an extra short episode. We didn't do any knitting, which we recorded. It was very short for us.
But it was a bit longer than I thought it would be.
It was about 20 minutes. Yeah. So that was about the Phoenix hat, which we then decided on the release day. I've been getting into Periscope.
Mom
terrible.
decided to do one that afternoon.
To sort of announce the release of the pattern, you see. And we've never done, you can't know what to do on Periscope before you've done it. I've got a general idea because I've watched quite a few Periscope episodes. So I have a vague idea of what people do. We didn't know how to start it. We didn't know what it shows when you start, because it's just a start record button. And you don't know that it says you can flip the screen and then it faces you. So we had some scheme, it was going to be balanced. And we couldn't turn the damn thing off afterwards. There's about, I don't know, when I showed Emma afterwards, he was killing himself laughing. Fortunately, I think the videos only stay up for 24 hours. So, but anyone
can't go back and watch it.
Anybody that happened to catch our first
Knit Monkey was there.
Periscope, it was just
terrible.
It wasn't,
because we were sitting in the bedroom,
and the bed wasn't made because Titus had come into bed with us that night. He wasn't feeling well. Then he peed on the bed, so the bed wasn't made. There was stuff everywhere. So when we were trying to turn it off, it kept flipping. So we were sitting on the couch in my bedroom,
and it kept flipping.
And then we were trying to turn it off, and it kept flipping the camera around to be filming the other side. It's just like a mess all over my bedroom. And then Rachel's like, "Turn it off! Just turn off the phone! Just turn off the whole phone!"
It was a live thing, so if you had just hold the switch off button, it would have just cut it. I don't know why I would have just done that.
No, but I need to figure out how to turn it off if I ever do another.
Because Mom kept on.
And the thing that says stop recording didn't stop recording. And then I'd heard somebody else saying to slide it down, so then I'm trying to swipe my finger down. Oh my goodness, we were a nightmare. That was very funny though. Anyway, so if you happen to catch our disastrous first Periscope, if anyone's on Periscope, let us know. Come and follow us. Doesn't seem to tell you when new people follow you. Or
that's a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still figuring it out.
It's a problem because on Instagram it says so and so started following or so and so wants to follow.
Yeah, no, I know. So I haven't totally figured it out yet. I think you just got to look at who people follow and look at chats and when people are chatting in things and then decide who you're following or see who follows you. Anyway,
can't you click on follow? Can't you click on your followers?
Yes, you can. Yeah,
then
but it doesn't tell you. From what I can see, it doesn't tell you if you've got new people. Sock Blanket Madness that Wool Diaries hosted last week on Instagram with the hashtag, I think it was Sock Blanket Madness. Was that the hashtag?
Sock Blanket Madness of craziness.
Yeah. And so you were supposed to add as many squares as you could in the week to your sock blanket.
Or you could just make squares.
Well, yeah, if you were making those like barn raising squares or whatever kind of modular project you were working on, you could then add to that. Yeah. How many did you add?
I added, I think, 6, and me and Granny together made a grand total of 11.
Okay.
So we got 17 squares. But the internet was off over the time, and my phone was not working. So
Rachel works with our Wi-Fi at home. She doesn't actually have data on her phone, and the phone line was down in the area, and it took over a week for the technician to come out.
Second time this year.
Yeah, it took about a week for the technician to come out and actually fix the line, and so I have some data, mobile data on my phone.
I have some, but Rachel has.
Yeah, Rachel doesn't really have mobile data on her phone. And so she only had Wi-Fi. So she missed the day where you were supposed to put your blanket up in the beginning. And then I don't know if we had Wi-Fi back by the time it finished. Or...
We did, but Sally said I should wait till the next one.
Because you'd missed putting up your start photo.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so Rachel added 17. I was particularly good this time around. I really added a whopping number of squares to my blanket.
Yes, it was so impressive for Mom. It was like crazy. Mom did. Dun, 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 dun. Say
0. A big fat 0. I should get like the loser's prize, like a special loser's crown. Well, how do you lose a crown?
Wait,
Oh dear. Anyway, talking about good achievements and good things, on Friday Rachel got her Leaping Wolf badge and Leaping Wolf certificate, which is the highest award in cubs that you can get in South Africa. So So there's her certificate and her little badge to put onto her uniform.
And the only girl that has done it in quite a while.
Yeah. And so this is Rachel and her Leaping Wolf, and we're very, very proud of her. She worked very hard. And we have to say a big thank you to everybody that sent
money,
coins, postcards, and stamps that helped her with her World Friendship Badge, which was part of what she had to do for that.
Sew my badge on
so they had to do, the compulsory was the first aid badge was compulsory, which she had.
That was quite easy.
And then you had to choose 2 other interest badges from the ones they listed. So there was a linguist, in which you speak another language.
I can't do that.
There was the outdoorsman, which is all about sort of outdoorsy crafts and tracking and making like polystyrene, plaster molds of footprints and all sorts of cooking over an open fire with twigs and nothing more than sort of what you can find in the outdoors.
Not so very me.
No, they did that on a camp, but we were in Pretoria when they'd done a lot of those things, and I wasn't going camping to go and do that.
Yeah.
And then you could choose from. There were some others. The ones Rachel did was the one with the World Friendship Badge, and the other one was the World Conservation Badge, which is all about animals. And so she had to do a project on penguins. We had to make a bird feeder. We had to go to a nature place, so we went to the penguin sanctuary. We had to write up about that. You had to really just go. And what else did you have to do for the for your conservation badge? They had to explain you had to explain water vapor or water something in plants. So we did that where you put a bag over the plant and
how
see
plants
give off water and things like that. So she did that.
I thought they sucked up water.
They do, but there's transpiration between the air and the and she had to plant a tree or something in the community. So we did greening your community. Yes. So we've got it on the corner near our house. There is a kind of a communal garden or bit of land where people plant various things. And so we planted an aloe and we planted a speckboom. Now speck is bacon, which is a funny thing. A speckboom. Apparently a speckboom grows. You can just break off. It's like a succulent. You can break off a bit and shove it in the ground and it'll grow.
It's like got twigs and then got like
little small leaves. Yeah.
Very
which is very grows well in this area. It's very indigenous to this area, and apparently it's got a very high carbon conversion rate. So it is a very good. People plant them if they're wanting to like carbon offsetting, to minimize carbon footprints and all of that sort of thing. So we planted the speckboom, and then
we actually broke a piece off of our.
I did to put in my garden.
Has it grown?
I put it over there. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it does in the summer. So you had to do that. Then she had to do some kind of global awareness and project of a global problem, and then what you could do to help. So we did the Burns Unit project for that. Burns being a global issue. I mean, people are burnt all over the place, and then something that impacts especially poorer communities. And then we looked at the numbers, and we looked at how the World Health Organization has a whole thing on burns and how it affects children and stuff. And you had your knot display. Do you want to show your knot display? You and Grandpa made such a beautiful knot display.
I don't know how to put it.
It's not bedroom.
It's not.
So you're supposed to do a knot display. So most people have on a little piece of paper or a cardboard or whatever, they have these few knots. So my dad and Rachel are like complete overachievers. They make their knots, and then they made the tray, the display board. They put all of these knots on. And varnished it and hammered it and put this whole beautiful display together, which is really beautiful. Put up now. So here they made this whole tray.
You're
making it wonky.
You're making it wonky.
I'm not making it wonky.
It's true.
So we just in the middle of the camera. Anyway, so there's Rachel, and then all the different knots that they did. And you can see they made this whole tray, which they varnished and everything.
And they had to fill in cracks and.
Yeah. And they did the 2 different color ropes on some of them to show the different knots. And so it was very impressive. So she made that, and then you had to do something on technology. You had to write about a technology. And there's a whole book. I mean, you've got to keep records of everything. You've got to put all the photographs of everything you do and keep records of everything that you do. So it's quite a thing. Not all
Cubs.
get it. You know, it's the highest award you can get.
I think the
in
time
Cubs.
I've been there for over a year now, only one has got it.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Loads of people have just gone up without it.
Yeah. So, well done, my lovey. It is very well done.
So, knitting.
Yes. So thank you to those that sent Rachel postcards, coins, and everything. We really appreciate that contribution to her badge and gave it a bit of a global feel to it. And it included knitters and stuff. That was quite nice. And then also our, everybody that helped with the Burns project, that also went into that. So that was quite nice. Yeah. So, should we finally get on with some knitting?
Knitting.
Finished objects. I made a little washcloth for Titus's teaching assistant, and we've given that to her because it was her birthday. So, if I have, I will include a picture of that somewhere. I did take a picture because I showed it to Sally. So I did. That was just a very simple one of those circle, flowery type washcloths ones.
Like
so
I
made that. And then I have a one sock finished. I have to always put the sock diagonal to fit it in the screen. Where am I going?
Wait till it fits like this.
That far back. Anyway, so it's the one with the triple rainbow for Women's
You could
Month.
show it in a rainbow.
I am showing it slowly.
But you could show it. If you wanted to fit it in the screen, you could show the pastel one and then the.
I am. So it starts with the pastel rainbow here, and then it goes into the bright rainbow here, which is this one up until this purple, and then this is the jewel tone one here, which goes up to there, and then there's a bit of grey on the top for like the silver clouds or the rainbow, the silver lining or whatever. So I did a 2x2 rib, and then I did a 1x1 rib here, and I did 2 increases on the back for the calf increases, and it's actually fine. I don't have very big calves, and so I just did 2 increases on the back in the middle. I think I did 1 here and 1 here, like about there and there. I think I did increases for the calf, and I used the Fish Lips Kiss Heel on just a bit of grey yarn that I added in because I didn't want to disrupt the stripes up the front there, so I just added that in. I think I was past the heel last time, but I don't think I hadn't finished the rest of the leg. So
I think you were in the yellow going into the green.
Was I? I can't remember. Anyway, so that is the one sock finished for that, and I think that is all. That's all that we finished.
It doesn't feel like.
So works in progress. Since I'm talking about the socks, I'm just going to carry on. I am on the second sock. But when you are watching this, I'm not sure when we'll get it edited up. It will be even closer to September. Today is the 27th of August, and I really should try and finish these in August, since it's supposed to be
for August
socks, and we need to get September socks, so I need to get cracking.
I think you have 3 days left.
Or 3 or 4 days left to finish these, yes. And they're extra long, so I've got that much to go. So I'm on the heel part, where I stopped knitting now, because I'm round about where I need to put in the heel, and then it's just trucking up the leg and doing the rib.
But then you can do that.
The rib slows you down though significantly. So this top part actually takes. Last night, when I started last night, I was on the green. So I knitted the green, the blue, the purple, and part of the red last night. So if I can keep just knitting 3 or so colours a night,
just roll.
I must just get through it. So that is in my Flower Power bag from Sally Wool Diaries, because she organized the August socks for us as our year-long socks. And I have organized September, but of course I can't show you this episode because I made our bags yesterday.
So cute.
No, day before yesterday I made our bags.
No, didn't you make them yesterday because you made the other bags yesterday?
No, I made the other bags yesterday. I didn't make the... well, I can show you some finished objects. Hey, so I decided I always make a kind of a drawstring bag, and I thought, well, maybe I should try and add another bag pattern to my repertoire. So I looked up the Japanese knot bag. And copied the Martha Stewart's instructions. And yeah, I did something wrong. There's a bit where you put it through the arm and then you're supposed to iron around the arm hole and then turn it in and top stitch. I just couldn't get mine, especially this bit through there. I just could not get that to line up. So I actually sewed it through on the other side and then unpicked the top, pulled it through the arms, and then I just sewed them closed like that. It was a bit messy on the top, actually. It's not quite so nice. And I also cut my fabric wrong. So I had this sort of grey and, oh, it's very light there. It's kind of grey and orange and yellow geometric diamonds on a grey-white geometric diamond pattern. Oh, it's very, you can't see it properly.
No.
And I didn't have a very big piece. So it's a thing to add in the pictures. It makes my computer crash, so I'm not going to add in too many. I had a smallish piece of fabric, and I thought, well, instead of putting it, putting the pattern piece down on double and then kind of wasting the offcut from the top, I would turn it and I would put the pattern one piece this way and then turn it around and do one piece this way. Except when you then try to put the right sides together, you of course land up with a case of, if this is your long handle and then on the other one when you try and put it together, here's your handle and they don't fit. So I had to use the lining on the back. So I had to have one piece of front and a piece of lining, and then on the inside, here's the other, what's supposed to be the back, and there's the lining. So this is my not very successful knot bag. And then what you're supposed to do is put the large handle through the small one like that, and then it makes a little bag like that. So anyway, then I went to look at a few more tutorials, and I did a slightly different arm pattern. This one had a kind of a, the arm piece went out and down, and the one I looked at actually just had a straight curve. So I thought I'd try that and see if it came out any better. And I actually did manage to turn it through the arm as you were supposed to. So there you can see the top is actually sewn, flat. It's actually sewn properly like that. I think I should have, although the white cotton is fine for this side, I made a purple inside, and I think I should have just had on the bottom of my bobbin, I think I should have put purple. I think it looks a bit, you can see the white sticking out, which is, sorry, the boys are just getting a bit loud with their army. So this is little sheep. These are little yellow sheep. It's very washed out. Yeah, it was all ironed. I did press it all as I went along.
But it's little.
Try turning this light above us off. I think this might be what's making it so washed out. Little yellow sheep. Is that better? No, it is actually a lot less washed out. Little yellow sheep. It's kind of like a mustard yellow. I'm not sure if that's coming up from there. And then here you put it through the little handle like that. So Rachel has claimed this one as hers.
Yes.
And I will keep this rather revolting it's not really revolting, but this sort of little grey prototype one that's lining is on the outside. So now I have, I'm not by any means a seamstress of any ability.
Granny is. Granny and Auntie Jenny.
I'm not very good at sewing. I do a little bit of sewing. I can mostly do straight. But I had wanted to do the knot bag or make a different kind of bag for Sally and I. We do a ball of yarn and a bag every month. Well, we've each got half the month. So I do 6 and she does 6. And so September is mine. But the piece of fabric that I wanted to use wasn't actually big enough to make a knot bag. So I ended up making a drawstring bag anyway.
But they are so cute.
They did come out really cute. I'm hoping that I will be able to try to make one of these for her for next month, but not
in November.
Yeah, for my next turn, but not hopefully not make it a disaster.
But you got one right.
I did get one right in the end, so hopefully I'll be able to repeat that.
Can you teach me to sew?
I will teach you to sew.
Because then I can sew
just not this. No, well, this is actually, it's much better if you then learn to sew the drawstring bags, because that's straight sewing. You're just literally sewing straight.
Because if I can learn...
These ones are tricky going
If I learn to sew, then I can do all the bags for you.
Okay, well, that's a good idea. So that's my other finished object, a bit of sewing. So I'm by no means any great seamstress at all.
More.
But
so,
yeah. Right. What else am I knitting? Let's just move this suitcase. So
do you want to put this side of the catches more space?
Yeah. Put that on that side. What else am I knitting? I am knitting. Why I didn't knit on my blanket was because I was knitting on my mama vertebrae. Are you like displaying it on the back?
I
was
saw the
knitting
one podcast they displayed the things on the back
on
of
the
the
back.
bag. It doesn't really work.
I was knitting on my mama vertebrae and really enjoying it and just wanting to get on with it. So I didn't feel like stopping to knit blanket squares because I'm also helping Rachel with her kitty vertebrae.
I've been
So she has been knitting on it. But I wanted to just get on with it. So I finished. I had split for the sleeves last time.
Yes.
But I don't think I'd finished the body.
No, you had not finished.
So I finished the body.
And we had races to see who could finish in this row because I'm slow in this. So we had races to see who could finish their row first. Mom had her.
So it's not blocked. It's not.
Mom had
so,
a ribbing row, and I had my knitting.
Finished the body and then did this ribbing on the end. I did this kind of garter stitch. I saw it on Anne's sweater or something like that. It's inspired by Anne of Green Gables. So I did like a garter. So you do a normal 2x2 ribbing on this side, and then on this side you just purl back, so it makes like a almost like stocking stitch, and then you get the garter bumps sort of every other row. It's a ribbing that's quite nice, but it doesn't pull in as much. So it doesn't make the bottom of the jersey suddenly shrink in.
Should I do that on my one?
Do whatever you like on your one. And then if you look on the one of called Anne's sweater or whatever, their button band is quite big, and I actually wanted that because I didn't do the extra increases on the front, getting a bit confused with what I was supposed to do with my raglan. I made this quite deep there. But what you can't see, I did the sleeve, but what you can't see before you've got this bit of armhole,
Ribbing.
Body ribbing around the body, you can't see quite where it's going to sit on you to see where the sleeve is going to start, to see if your sleeves are the right length. So I tried the sleeves on and they seemed right, but I didn't want to start the second one and then put the ribbing on and decide actually it was too long or too short. So I thought that's why I did the ribbing next to check where that sits if you put the jersey on, and then I started the.
Did it work?
Yes, yeah. So then I started the second sleeve.
With the sleeve and then you have
So then I have a finished object. Yeah, I was really hoping I'd have it finished, but I'm not quite. So as I say, I've got the body done, which needs blocking, so it's not so. I've got the body done there with the collar over, the sleeve done. Obviously none of the ends are woven in yet. The longer cuff on the sleeve is also looking at that Anne sweater pattern as well, making the longer sleeve, that same rib pattern. It's still the jersey, actually maybe back here it's a bit better. The jersey comes out very much lighter than it is. It really is quite an orange.
It's not orange.
And then the yellow stripes in between. The yellow stripe was really nice. It motivates you to knit because you want to get to the next. Should I try it on?
Try it on.
Let me show you what it looks like on. Oops. Putting it on. It's a nice oversized. I mean, you can see I'm wearing another cardigan and I can easily wear this one over. So it's an open cardigan, the mama vertebrae. You're not supposed to close it, but because I've done quite a big ribbing, it sits, it doesn't feel like it's tucking itself. What does Sally call it? An armpit warmer, where it feels like it's tucking under your armpit. And then you can see the sleeves are the right length. I obviously make my sleeves
nice and
long. I'll have to sew in all the ends.
You could be like a puppet, like one of those puppets.
Thank you. Marionette. No, I'm not going to be a marionette. And there's so it'll sit like that, which I think is quite nice. And it's definitely long enough, and I've just got this sleeve to do. And that is why I didn't knit on anything else. Well, I did knit on a bit, but mostly I was just knitting on.
You haven't knitted on the sole yet.
No, I haven't. But this takes quite long. I mean, you think you finish the body and the hem, and you think, oh well, I've just got that band around the top. It won't take that long. But I mean, it's a thick band, and it is all the way around the whole jersey. It's like knitting another whole back almost. And I had it. My cable was a bit short. So it was very scrunched up, and it was constantly the case of moving stitches around.
I was complaining that my cable is
too long.
It's extra. It's all caught up, but it is very long.
And mine is too short. But I didn't have But I've got a case of sharing my needles between Rachel, Caleb, and I. So often I don't have the right size or cable for something. So I was knitting on higher and I didn't have a long enough cable. And that was the one that had the size needle I needed. And Rachel was knitting on Knit Pros. And yeah, so that's just how that worked out. So just one sleeve to go.
Yay!
My cardigan. And it's a cotton wool blend in L Elite. So that is mostly what I've been knitting on. And you have mostly been knitting on yours. You and me have mostly been knitting on yours.
I've knitted a little bit time.
You have knitted a bit. Shall we
I'm
see how
trying
it's going?
to finish the row. Can you get the row finished for me quickly?
Do you want to talk about what the yarn is, Salon?
The yarn is, I have no idea what I did to the bag. So it's Noro.
Noro, yes.
Don't know what the colour
Noro
is.
sock yarn. I think it's a 70-30 blend, actually. It's a single spun, so it's just one strand. And it is quite thick and thin.
Yes.
Some bits are quite...
and it feels very stiff.
It is a crunchy. It's definitely got quite a crunch. But I hear that it washes a lot softer.
But it's
We
very
did say
pretty.
that last time. It is very pretty. And we've got 2 balls of that. We're still on the first ball, actually, aren't we? I don't think you had split for the sleeves last time either, had you?
I had.
Had you when we showed it last time?
I was under the armpits. I don't know. So
No, I don't think we'd split for the sleeves yet.
while you finish that row, I'll show you my hat. This is the Licorice Hat by Claire Devine. And it's not coming up.
You're knitting that on a cascade yarn, hey?
It
That's
is.
actually quite nice. Hold it there like that still. It's a cascade yarn in a purple with kind of, you see sort of reddy bits and
Reddy
blue
and
bits and white
white
bits.
Flex.
It's quite fluffy. It's the cascade with alpaca, 50% wool, 50% alpaca.
I think so.
And
It's got.
you've made your first set of holes.
It's got
The
holes.
licorice hat has
Holes.
big sort of yarn over holes in it.
So I need. I have.
Excuse me.
I have sort of done it, and now I need to do the next thing with Mom. So
Aren't we just on the knit part?
I don't know. That's what I needed to check because I did 3 rows knitting. But I don't know.
Oh, I see. So I need to check the
Yes.
pattern and see how many more
My
rows.
ball sort of collapsed. Look,
I think there's actually another row of knitting before you.
Look, my ball all sort of turned into an arrowhead, a pointy arrowhead.
So that
Or
is your
fish.
hat by Claire Devine for the Knit Share Love. Knit along that Claire is doing on the Yarn and Pointy Sticks group.
Yes.
And I think there's a hashtag on Instagram as well. Have you put yours on Instagram yet?
No.
Not yet.
I took a picture of it. No, I haven't.
And that's your bag you got for your birthday.
From Sally.
Right, finish the row. So this is Rachel's kitty vertebrae in the Noro some numbers colorway.
Why did they name it?
I don't know.
This could be Springfield. South African Springfield, because you get just about all these colours in the field.
Hey. And there's the little front bit, and that's how far we are. So that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Do you want me to knit another row for you?
Yes, but what do I knit on?
Oh, you knit on that because I need to talk about the next thing. So you do for the knit share love. I am doing the Pwani shawl, and if you watched last time, I don't think I'm actually any further
You
than I
have
was.
not done
Rachel said that I had added the pink last time.
Yes, you have.
I thought I hadn't. That I'd only done the
People
purple.
can comment below.
But
and tell
Rachel, you could tell me whether Rachel. I'm sure she's probably right. There's the lace bit on the top that I've started, and I have knit mine mostly out of the Jägermeister 100% fingering weight, 100% merino fingering weight, and this one is a Nurturing Fibers, this pink, don't know what the color name was, her Super Twist sock wool, and then we'll see. I've got some other pinks and purples to do the rest of that. So this is until the end of September, so I've got enough time to finish.
You're just finishing your mama.
I just want to finish another one, which also is only end due at the end of September. The thing I have to finish in August is those socks. So I really must get on those. So that is my Pwani, which is my part of the Knit Share Love. Lovely shawl pattern. Go and check that out on Yarn and Pointy Sticks. Then, is that all I'm missing on? Oh no, I cast on. Remember I kept on saying I was going to cast on a hat for our hat knit along. I did.
I have 3 hats lined up for the Hat Knit Along,
Do you?
but I'm only on number 1.
I cast on the Cornice by Woolly Wormhead that we reviewed, the painted woolly toppers, and I am using the hand spun that Claire gave me, which I think the label is actually still over there where I wound. I caked the yarn today. I showed you guys last time that I said I was planning to use this. This is the hand spun I got in those kind of orange grey colors, and it's called Summer Sunset Hand Spun Yarns Island handspunyarns.wordpress.com. And we think that word is called snar. We're not really sure.
Whose
And that
podcast
is
told us how to say it?
Sprite 966. Although she said she doesn't actually speak Gaelic, even though she's Scottish. So she also had to have a look. And this was a DK sport weight, and I am doing the Cornice.
Which one's the Cornice?
The one where the little points come down. Here.
Isn't that too big?
No, because the points, if you imagine, come down
Oh.
and up, and then you decrease. By the time you get to the hat part, there's more here. It has less stitches at that point.
It looked like a cow.
So it looked like it's making it too big. So I have just started. And there is my progress so far. Not very much. So this is my Woolly Worm head. Woolly Worm head. Because I keep calling her Woolly Worm hat. Woolly Worm head hat.
So she's a
painted woolly topper. Yes. So that was what.
You could remember a worm wearing a woolly jersey and hidden in your hat.
Something like that. For those of you who listen to the Shiny Bees podcast, she has been nominated for the UK Podcast Awards. And I'm sure if you listen to her podcast and follow her, you will know that. If you don't, it is an audio podcast, well worth the listen. She is hilarious. I mean, her sort of byline thing is for those that like their knitting and comedy in equal measures. And Jo is known for her very funny pattern pics and talking about dog sweaters and these sorts of things.
A lion dog sweater.
Dog sweaters.
And
toilet roll holders, toilet roll covers, and all sorts of very hilarious things.
Wasn't it an octopus camera?
Something like that. Oh, yeah, I think it's one of those photography things for photographers to put around the camera so the children smile or something that made your camera lens turn into an octopus. Anyway, so for those of you that watch Shiny Bees or listen to Shiny Bees or interested in a British podcast, which is very, very funny, please vote for Jo. It would be very nice to have a knitting podcast featuring in the top UK podcast awards. That would be really great. So she's been nominated in 2 categories, and I will put the links and the details in the show notes. So please go and vote. Yeah, please go vote.
Pause the video, go do that right now.
Well, you're bossy this time. They had to pause and go watch our video. Now they're going to pause and go listen to her, apparently.
Otherwise, I always do that because otherwise I forget at the end of the video.
Agree. You need to sometimes go and do things straight away. So I will put that in the links in the show notes today.
So they're back now after doing it. So
hello. Then finally our acquisitions. M from Electric Carnation was having a D-stash, and I think I spoke about it last time that I was going to get some yarn from her. So I got some 3 Irish girls in the Spring Vale Super Merino. 100% merino, 330 yards. So I guess that's about a DK weight. And there are 2 of these called Tree Fort, which is this sort of mustardy, browny yellow.
That would make a nice hat.
Very nice, hey. And then there are these ones called. Now there are 2 that are the same, and then the rest that are. But they all, I think, if you alternate the skeins, would work fine. There is a chocolate covered cherry. That's chocolate covered cherry. And that's chocolate cherries. And this is chocolate cherry. So the chocolate cherries is sort of brown. And then it's got patches of, which one shows it quite well? No, this is the other one. And then sort of patches of red, if you can see here, sort of chocolate covered cherries, and there's quite a sort of cherryish. So these ones are this sort of brown color with the bits of cherry red throughout the skein. So there are 3 of those. Then there's another one.
Oh, isn't that 4?
Yeah, 4 of these, and then there are 2 more, which are not quite the same color. They're a lot more red throughout, unless it's just been reskeined, and that's why there's more red. But this one looks like there's also little bits of green.
It has a different name.
It does have a different name. Brenna. I don't think you say the GH. Brenna, I think.
Great.
So I think these ones, if you look against, they are a little bit different, but the browns are very similar. So I think if you alternated skeins, but I mean, even just the browns, I might have enough. But anyway, this is a chocolate, some sort of a chocolate, slightly semi-solid, variegated-ish cardigan in the making. Well, in the planning, in the queue, well, hoping to be.
So
I will just sit and hug my yarn.
They're sitting at the bus stop, Mum.
They're sitting at the bus stop waiting. Yes.
And then once they get on
my yarn babies. Is your mum ridiculous? Okay, you fairly ridiculous as well. So yes, these are my yarn babies. We did have there was a little delay with the courier, and at one point they thought the parcel had gotten lost, and that they were then going, oh goodness,
you were on the phone and it was on hold.
It was supposed to be an overnight delivery, and a week later it hadn't arrived. And the Pretoria office said that the parcel was not in Pretoria, and the Cape Town office said the parcel was not in Cape Town, and they started to talk about a refund or a claims process if something gets lost, then you put in a monetary claim. But I mean, this is yarn that she got from overseas. You can't. It's not really replaceable. The monetary value is not really replaceable. I was so panicked that I wouldn't get my lovely D-stash because she had the yarn at a very significantly reduced price, and there was no way I could normally afford to buy and import this much 3 Irish girls
in sweater quantity.
In a sweater quantity. So I am dead chuffed with this.
What jersey are you going?
I don't know yet. I think because it's going to come out, slightly sort of semi-solid, variegated-ish. I think it needs to be quite a simple pattern.
Mama, that's great.
Well, I don't know if I'll make another one, but I'll certainly do something either cardigan or jumper like. So anyone that's got some great ideas for my chair, I think it'll look quite nice with my hair. Look here, with my newly dyed hair. Those of you who didn't see the other podcast will have seen that I've re-dyed my hair.
Look, I'm an elephant.
Oh my gosh, we're getting more ridiculous as this episode is going on.
Yeah.
So that is my acquisitions. Oh goodness, I dropped it.
Don't drop it.
I know, I dropped my news. And I think we have to say goodbye because it's been a very long episode. We spoke so long about heritage and who we are, and then all these other things and interruptions and all the rest.
Yeah. Have we covered everything?
I think so. We've spoken a lot. We've done everything we're knitting on. We've done the hats we're busy doing. We've done the patterns. We've done.
Just look how small her ball is getting.
You've done very well. I know it's difficult for you to.
It takes forever.
Sally was suggesting, and I wonder if other people think I'm a thrower, and I don't knit very fast. But Sally was wondering if you should go, because you teach yourself quite a lot from YouTube. If you should teach yourself continental knitting from YouTube.
How do you purl? I can do continental, just not purling.
But continental is fast. If you can teach yourself to do it, especially as a crocheter, the picking is very similar to crocheting. And if you can perfect picking, you might actually find it knitting faster. You see, I can't now. How old am I now? 38. I learned when I was about 6. 32 years of knitting one way. It just doesn't feel comfortable to me. Sure, it might be fast and maybe I'll speed up and knit everything. But this is what I'm used to. This is what I'm comfortable with. Knitting to me is enjoyable and relaxing, and I don't need to think about it. And maybe after another 32 years of knitting another way, I will feel as comfortable. But this is what I've learned. You can't teach this old dog
Mom,
new tricks.
Do I take it around like that, or do I pick it out like that?
Yeah.
Like that.
And you're supposed to put it on this thing. It's supposed to be as ergonomically
It's like crocheting.
It is like crocheting. So Sally, you're quite good at teaching yourself things from
It's exactly like crocheting.
YouTube. So, but you're not supposed to do a lot of arm movement. The whole idea with the Continental is that it's very ergonomically using the least amount of movement.
I prefer just doing this.
So anyway, I tried to suggest that, Sally, but apparently she doesn't want to.
It doesn't.
Sally just thought you might be quicker. It might help you feel less frustrated if you could knit quicker.
This way I like doing it. Because Continental, if your yarn's all here and your hands and your yarn's
You never
here,
let go of the needle, that's the thing.
you teach Titus Continental.
I can't because I don't knit Continental, so I find it hard to teach anyone how to do Continental.
Okay, let's think. What could you practice knitting Continental on? If you knit it,
I knit that whole knit night shawl. I did an entire garter stitch shawl, which is just knitting Continental, and I just didn't like it. It was, I'm sure if I persevered, but at the moment, knitting is
Kayla.
It doesn't have to be fast. For me, it just has to be enjoyable, and I really enjoy knitting like this. It's what I've learned. But if you're not as entrenched in your ways of knitting as me, you might like to.
I like if I learn something one way to just keep it that the wrong way.
All right. Okay, we must stop talking now.
Bye.
Goodbye. We will see you next week. Are we getting fit one in next week? Hopefully. I am about to become the mother of 6 children.
Yeah. Mom's not having children.
No, I'm not having
Mom's not having children.
Just before anybody panics.
My best friend's coming down to Cape Town. And her brother and sister.
A very good friend of mine who is a single mom and studying her doctorate is going to a conference in Norway. And so her children are coming from Joburg to stay with me for the month that she is
from
away.
the 4th of August, from the 4th of September to sometime
in October. Yeah. So I'm going to have 6 children. I don't know what that's going to do to our podcasting schedule.
Me and India could do one together and then edit it together.
Oh my goodness.
You would have to put a warning on the front. Warning. Badly edited would be super crazy.
I will try to do some podcasts, but it may be over this next month a little bit less. Maybe a bit more sporadic, or yeah, you'll just have to. So I will try.
Maybe like a very ultra short. Here's my knitting. This is what we've been doing. Bye.
You mean like what other people do, like a proper knitting
like
podcast?
Like a Sally.
Sally Wool Diaries focuses on.
But it just cut out the sport. Hello, we went to the beach. Here's my knitting. Bye.
Maybe.
In 3 minutes. Try and do it without any editing, so you can just upload it.
Maybe. Anyway, so we will definitely, before we fetch them, I think we fetch them next week Friday. Is next week Friday the 4th?
Yes.
We will try to do another episode.
So,
but
8 days.
Yeah. But after that, things might get a little bit more sporadic.
We could fit one in on the Thursday.
Yeah, either on the Wednesday or Thursday.
If we record it on Wednesday, you might be able to get it up before they get here.
Yeah. So I'm going to have 6 children. The oldest is 13, and the 2 girls are 11, Rachel's age. They're just a couple of weeks apart. They're going to be here for her birthday. India's just had her birthday, and then Rachel will have her birthday while they're here.
Less than a month apart.
Yeah, and then their youngest is Caleb's age. So when
Mila
Titus
and Caleb,
they're a lot older, so I'm not worried about it being too traumatic. And they're also homeschooled, and it'll just be nice for the kids to have people to play with and just to run around and have fun.
Aiden can play with Caleb. Me and India will play, and Mila can pick whoever she wants to play with.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're really saying goodbye now. Bye-bye.